Hi there everybody, this is Kelly and I'm just here to do a quick look at this little deck that I stumbled on. I was actually on a card site to pick up another deck, and which I did pick up, which is called the Bicycle Runes. Now, would I use this for rune casting? No, I'm a caster. I do have a couple rune decks. But for the most part I'm a caster, but I thought it was really cool, and I'm a playing card collector, so I couldn't pass that up, and I love that it's actually Bicycle brand, so that's for my collection, and I thought it was awesome, so I was going to pick that up. And I saw this, and of course if you've watched my For Love of Cartomancy, I'll put a link to that below. You're kind of looking at a lot of different old style Cartomancy decks. It's something that I collect, it's something that I love, and I'm very intrigued on finding new ones. And so this is a reproduction of Ye Witch's Fortune cards, number 62, copyrighted 1896 by the United States Playing Card Company, from Cincinnati, USA. That's in Ohio. And so I again love this. I love seeing the 1800s were just a boom of fortune telling decks, and this is of course near the end of that boom in 1896, and I just thought it was really cool, so we're going to take a look at this. But what I also loved is that they had a link to the original text, or the latest revised rules. So this was in 1896. That tells me this deck was obviously produced before 1896, and then here we have the revised rules for it. And again, copyrighted 1896 by the United States Playing Card Company in Cincinnati. This whole thing just makes me smile. So we're going to take a look at this. Obviously, this is just a little tuck box. I will put a link to where I found this below. But there were two versions that you could get. There was this green version, and then there was a red version, and the backs were different. Like this has two witches, reversible witches on brooms, and the other one had a cauldron. I may still pick that one up. I probably should have just conceded that that's what I would do, but I thought there was a double backed one too. No, there's two jokers. But that's the difference between the two, and I think you could also get these in gilding and not gilding. I just like the regular ones. They shuffle. So obviously this is not a reproduction, and there are two versions with two different backs on them, and I don't know if those are reproduced backs or if those backs are original to when they came out. I haven't found that particular information. This system does utilize the jokers. Jokers are something that came into Cartomancy later, and so I don't use them in divination whatsoever. However, this deck does actually utilize the jokers in the instructions, and so so those I'm obviously going to leave in there. But let's take a little peek here at this pamphlet, because I just love this, especially this incantation at the beginning of the instructions. On the brow of the storm cloud the demons are riding. Foul rise the vapors from cauldron and pit. Mothers are crying, lovers are sighing. In fen and in bog every witch fire is lit. Spirit of goodness, watch over thy children. Lighten their pathway through darkness and pain. Webs are unweaving, friends are deceiving. Heavy the chains that entwine them. Again, it's like they have a chorus here in the middle. But what's so funny is that they have this very dramatic witch's incantation, and they talk about it in the instructions that it would be a good idea. Let me see if I can it would be a good idea to memorize this incantation so that as you're shuffling them, you can say the incantation to good effect. You know how, you know, that would really up your credibility game here if you could memorize the incantation as you're shuffling the cards, and that the impact that that would make, right? Which I think is hilarious. Hopefully we're gonna kind of talk through the instructions, but I thought that was particularly funny, and so of course now I'm not going to be able to find it, but oh yeah, here it is. The incantation shown on second page may be memorized and repeated with good effect over the cards after shuffling them, but before laying them in position. Okay, so we're going to shuffle, 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 say the incantation, and then lay them on the table. I'm going to definitely try that when we go to the shuffling part of this demonstration. That stuff just makes me so happy. So it's very specific on how to read these cards. The spread is, funnily enough, is on the front of it, so you do have to kind of keep flipping back to where the spread is. But there is very specifics about how to lay these cards, to shuffle, to split them, and to lay them out. And so we're going to do that at the end after we look through the cards. But I do think there is some very interesting, if you're into cartomancy and the ways that cards interact with each other, I did think there were some interesting things that can be pulled into our understanding of cartomancy and the way that the cards are influencing each other that I really enjoyed there. Now, what's interesting about this deck is that it's called a semi-transformational playing card deck because some of the cards are like this, where they're just, that's how the two would normally be, but some of them are worked into, I'm trying to find an example of that. Or maybe like this type of thing where I think a transformational card deck is where there are changes to the pips, and that's in terms of collecting. So that's how it was put on this card playing deck. But what I do think was interesting here is that we have the images associating to the meanings, but then the court cards are just what we would consider traditional court cards, except for coloration. So we have blondes here, we have redheads in the diamonds, we have green hair in the clubs, and we have black hair in the spades there. So I'm not sure what the green hair is supposed to be, probably brown. And these are to be actual people in the particular reading as well, with the kings being older men, the jacks being younger men, and all of the ladies, regardless of age, being in the queens, with different hair colors associated. And I think that they talk about that, which this is pretty typical of playing card divination, older playing card divination. You also see this in the tarot card courts if you look at older decks. So the kings represent elderly married men, queens representing all ladies, and jacks representing young men, most likely not married, I'm assuming. Hearts, very light complexion, diamonds, medium light, clubs, medium dark, and spades, very dark. So, and this is talking about complexion, not hair color, which a lot of times it talks about hair color in cartomancy, but this is actually your complexion. And the other interesting thing that I found about this is that the clubs are more negative as a whole than the spades, and that's a little bit more in the German playing card tradition versus whereas spades are generally 100% bad in a lot of playing card divination. And so I thought that was interesting here as well. So we'll look at those. We're going to flip through these in a minute. And they do also point out that you'd never read the court cards straight. You would always be connecting them to the spot cards, or pip cards in order to figure out what it was, exactly what it was talking about there. So small amount of instructions, but really detailed in how to go about utilizing the cards. They do recommend that the best results can be obtained by the fortune teller committing the meaning of the various cards to memory so that it will not be necessary to refer to the rules. This will be an easy task, they let us know, as the illustrations will give the cue to the interpretation of each card. The jokers, again, as I said, this deck does utilize the jokers, and these are lucky cards, and what I like is that it overcomes evil and brings happiness, and it can influence cards, like we see the sun card being able to lift all the cards up around it. The lucky cards have the power to do that as well. So first, jokers that I would shuffle into a divination deck. So we can see we have sort of a limited palette of color illustrations on these. They kind of remind me of, oh, I don't have this out there, the conjure cards that have kind of simple illustrations. Those are hand drawn though, but they have kind of simple, kind of quirky little hand or illustrations with a limited palette, but it's not as garish as, say, the Gypsy Witch one. So let me zoom in on these, and then we'll run through these, and then I'm more interested in giving it a whirl, like exactly with their instructions, and we'll make sure to do the incantation as well. Again, here is the backs of them, of the green pack, which has the two witches on the broom. The red pack has, again, a cauldron, I think with some, I'm sure evil women that are standing around it. So the Ace of Hearts is the gentleman's life card. So this, they call it the life card, but this would be the significator for the gentleman. So I'm going to leave that out. I believe the woman life card was like the 5 of Spades. I'm like, that was a weird one to choose for that. I'm surprised it wasn't an ace. So we have the 2 of Hearts here actually as evil influences. You can see that she is up to magic of some sort. She's pouring poison maybe into, she is up to nefarious things. And she's a relatively attractive blonde person up to no good. So I thought that was interesting too, is, sometimes you're going to get like really haggy looking women, right? But, she's up to no good here with this. And it does give the note that nearest court card might give us a hint as to who that particular person is up to no good. So that's the evil influences card. The 3 of Hearts is a disappointment, which, unless averted by lucky cards, will result in single life until old age. The spinster card. It's the spinster card. You know what? Hopefully there's some lucky cards around to pull this up, or you are going to live a sad and lonely spinster life here with the 3 of Cups. I do like this. The artwork is quite sweet, and some of them are real quirky when we get to them. The 4 of Hearts is a pleasure in store. It's a lucky card. It's prosperous, and it talks about living to a ripe old age and happiness, even though she is not old as these poor spinsters. Here we have the 5 of Hearts. This is a faithful lady friend that she can help you, somebody that you can trust, but a trustworthy female friend. I thought this was interesting because the 6 of Cards is about trouble, sorrow, and misfortune, but we have stars on it. I feel like that is not going to be very useful. Your stars are not in alignment. I guess you could try to remember it that way, but I didn't feel like that really gave you a hint that this was an unlucky card. 7 of Hearts, the wish nearest to your heart. If this is near to the life card, your wish is going to be gratified. So, it's a good luck card with the wishbone, which we also see echoed in the Joker cards. The 8 of Hearts is success crowning you, fame, lots of friends. They do talk a lot about friends that are either faithful and helping you, people. There is a lot of people working on your behalf or working against you, which we do often see in old style cartomancy. The Nine of Hearts is if in the inner circle, a gay and turbulent life. So that would be a happy. That's what's so weird, is because gay is happy, right? But turbulent, with domestic troubles and strifes. But if it's in the secondary circle, it's a calm and placid domestic life. So you'll see as we do it that there's a bit of that near and far pulled in versus whether it's in the inner circle or the outer circle of the spread. So I thought that was, I liked that was an interesting pull into a very specific spread. And then, of course, the Ten of Hearts is a faithful friend of the brute kingdom. The brute, not animal kingdom, but the brute kingdom, who will save you from serious danger. That's what we have there. And then, of course, we have the three of the palest of skins. They have no color tone on them, and they do seem to have blonde hair. When we get to the diamonds, the ace is prosperity. He looks well and prosperous. We have a whispered word, which will bring great happiness, or a gift, which will be followed by a wedding. So we have wedding bands or engagement rings here. Interesting that it's the wish card, where traditionally we see the nine. Even by this time, I think the Nine of Cups or the Nine of Hearts would have been the wish card. They're going their own way here. Three of Diamonds, a numerous family will one day be yours. So you can have lots of children and good health. These are funny, weird little people, because all the other people are pretty normal looking until we get to the little devils. But there's a couple like this. With the Four of Diamonds, your life will be made bright by a cheerful and gay disposition, either your own or that of those dear to you. So big happy head, if you can think. And then we have the little blue devil. The Five of Diamonds is the evil card. So this is bad influences threaten, dangers are near, dark clouds that can only be dispelled by the lucky card. By which I think they might mean the Joker can only dispel it, because there's other cards that they do say are lucky, but they say the lucky card, so I'm thinking maybe that's the Joker. I like how we have the D's in here for devil or diamonds, but I'm guessing they're devils. He's so cute though, look at him. Look at his little face. There's another one like this that's not evil though, with the same antennae. We'll see that in a minute. Here we have the Six of Diamonds, good luck from the water, or a prosperous voyage, either for yourself or one of whose destiny will affect you. If there's unlucky cards by it, it's going to be troubled waters, but only the evil card that we just saw will bring about an actual shipwreck. So negative cards by it could influence it, but the only shipwreck one is if this card is next to it. So that's good to know. I love these decks. Seven of Diamonds, dissipation, gambling. You can see the dice on here. Just really gambling that is going to give you some successes, but also misfortune. So it could go either way with gambling, right? Eight of Diamonds, the power to unlock the door of success. So it's kind of similar to the Lenormand card in its success with the key card. The Nine, even though I feel like this looks like a cheese knife or something, even though it's got that kind of tip there, I don't feel like this feels like a dagger, like a real dagger to do damage, but this is an unlucky card. It's a treachery and accidents threaten. I'm not sure, well, I guess you could accidentally cut yourself with a knife. Lucky cards might lessen the injury, but they cannot avert it. Good to know. So here's the other of the little antennae person with the Ten of Diamonds, which is a happiness card. Happiness will come to you through the pages of a book, which will exert a great influence over your whole life. So good things are coming to you from a book, which I'm all for that. I'm all for that. We have some little random things on the cover. Another little antennae person. And I have absolutely no clue. We'll see if we can see it in the playback what that is there. But look at him. So we've got, let's grab the other one because it makes me so happy. We have the evil card. with the devil here with antennae, and then we have a great happiness through books with a lighter skinned antennae creature. Oh, this stuff just makes me happy. And then we have the red-haired. Again, there are no complexions being added onto the faces. The hair color is changing, but the guidebook talks more about complexion than hair color. Although, again, hair color is pretty traditional in Cartomancy. So that brings us to the clubs. So we have wedding bells ringing here in the Ace of Clubs. If it's near to this life card, it will be soon. If it's farther distant, which is the second row, it will be far in the future, or kind of questioning whether it's going to happen. The Two of Cups is a daughter of happy, sunny disposition. Will be your stay and support when old age overtakes you. So she is going to help you as my daughter. She's going to support me in my old age. Here we have a creepy clown here in the Three of Clubs. Foolishness and clownish acts make you ridiculous. So this is, you're looking foolish in front of people. We have the sad round face. We had the happy round face, and this particular one is tears and sorrow, family quarrels. It does have a weak influence, though, that can be easily overcome. So that's good to know. This was an interesting usage of the clubs here. The Five of Clubs is anger and disappointment. You can see she looks pretty angry. I don't know what she's got necessarily in her hands. If she's gonna like beat people with these clubs, I'm not sure, but she is not of happy disposition, and it's going to ruin your old age if you're an angry person. Here we have creepy cats in the Six of Clubs. This is definitely bad luck. These are obviously intended to be black cats, which would have been of bad luck. Treachery, fights, defeats, definitely not a good card. The Seven of Clubs is toil and drudgery. She's having to work, a wandering life. You do get a feel of a gypsy Romany vibe to them, which you will get picked to the evil drudgery person who is wandering about in life with getting little rewards. You know, that you are going to see that negative connotation, you know, with those earrings and just that style of clothing. But yeah, this is the drudgery card. Here we have an interesting fellow in the Eight of Clubs, which is great power. So he does look very strong, but you have to be careful because it's great power that could result in your downfall. And the enemies are watching you, although these look like little elves. They're pixies shooting like elf darts at you. So you're going to be brought low if you're not careful. You're very strong, but this is a power that could topple you. Then the Nine of Clubs is a powerful enemy who may destroy. This looks like a wolf instead of the dog friend. Cultivate some friends to help you to aid in the defeat of the enemy. And then there's our typical Ten of Cups. This is the danger card. So we did have a pretty good luck card, and the lucky cards, and another luck card with the wishbone, I think. And then we have the devil card, plus we have this other unlucky danger one. And the position of this card will indicate what or who the danger warning is against with that one. And then we have the green-haired people, which I guess would be equivalent of brown hair, since that is usually in the courts. So then our Ace of Spades, of course, is our special cards. We have the United States Playing Card Company, Cincinnati, USA, Russell and Horgan Factories. I can't read. And it shows the reproduction was made in 2019, but this is number 62, copyrighted 1896. So that's the Ace of Spades. And the Ace of Spades is actually getting a present. They're handing a present of a deck of cards to you, which is going to give you pleasure. The Two of Spades, a crisis is approaching when your life's page will be written for good or evil. There's still some opening. You're kind of meeting a crisis or maybe even a crossroads point where it could go in either direction. Here we have the Three of Spades, which is ill health. Kind of have that, you know, what would be a pestle in like an apothecary. So this speaks of ill health. Its severity of that will be gauged by the nearness to the life cards, if it's in that first row or that second row. So next we have our entrance of another little devil. This is the Four of Spades, which is a journey by water that is threatened with much danger. Evil influences, of course, because of the devil on there with the antennae. So this is our third antennae creature. Possible shipwreck here. Definitely concerned with shipwrecks. I think that's quite understandable at the time period. Five of Spades. This is the lady's life card. So they don't really... I'll show them again when we're done. So here we have the Six of Spades, which is an honored and prosperous life into ripe old age, probably without any shipwrecks, which is good. Looks like the Man in the Moon. And number 7 is, if lying alongside the life card, it's a letter to be sent, but if it's in the outer position, then it would be a letter to be received. Again, I like the proximity usages in this, set between the inner circle and the outer circle, which you'll see. Now, if it's near a lucky or unlucky spot card, it might show whether or not it's going to be good or bad. So the letter is pretty neutral, and whether it's going to be sent or received. And then, of course, you have whether it's good news or it's bad news by the other cards around it. Here we have an interesting Eight of Spades, a pleasant acquaintance and a possible friend to be met. Somebody you're going to meet up with. You could even kind of maybe use that as a meeting card. That's quite interesting. We have a little sailor here with an anchor. This is the Nine of Spades, news from across the sea. If near a lucky card, it's good news, otherwise it's bad news. So this is more distance news. Again, you could modify that and use this more as an actual anchor card. And then the Ten of Spades is a journey by land by the side of one who is dear to you. So it's the horse card here. In the middle, and then we come to our black, I thought there was another, put it over there. We have the black-haired Spades court here. Okay, so let's zoom out here. Again, these types of things to me are such treats to find. So these are our significator cards. I think it's very strange that just even traditionally, I think it's strange that the Five of Spades is the life card for the woman, and that it's not one of the other aces, if that's where we're going with that. So I thought that was quite interesting. Of course, I think our little devil variety of little antennae people are interesting here, but let's give this a good shuffle. Again, at this reproduction, now I don't know the original, but the reproduction comes in a green stack, a red stack, and then in gilded or ungilded. So again, it was very clear about how to go about laying these cards. It doesn't speak to reversals. It seems to get your positive and your negative more from the proximity aspect of cartomancy, which I appreciate. That's something I enjoy as well. And you definitely get that playing card vibe of the influencer cards, which we'll show here in a minute, which I quite like in the spread. So what it says, so let's go to our instructions on how to do these. So the first thing that we're doing is getting a yes and no. So we're making a reasonable wish. So they're not saying like, can I win $1 million? Like, that's to me not a reasonable wish. Like, what is it that you wish for yourself in a reasonable way? Now, I think that their way of finding out the yes and no of this are strange. If red predominates, then disappointment and the non-fulfillment of the wish will follow. If black cards, all black cards, then severe disappointment is going to happen. The only way in which you're going to get your wish is if you have all reds, it sounds like. Or no, I'm sorry, if you have, yeah. If you have all 3 reds is the only way your wish is going to come true, and 2 reds and a black would equal disappointment or not having it done. So I would probably modify that myself into using more traditional yes and no, where 2 reds and a black would be a yes, but there's some wiggle room. 3 reds would be yes, you're going to get it. 3 blacks, sorry, it's not happening. 2 blacks and a red, probably not happening, but there's a little, light at the end of the tunnel where maybe something might come of it. That's probably what I would do, because I don't personally think that makes a lot of sense, but, let's put our wish into it. So it says that it needs to be cut into 3 piles face up by the person, but I'm assuming that you would still split them and then turn them face up, or else the person would kind of choose what they wanted, right, for their wish. So we definitely don't have predominantly red or all black. It didn't say what to do if you get 1 black and 2. Red does not predominate, black predominates, but it's not all black cards, so they haven't told us what to do with that. In my way of seeing it, you're probably not going to get what you're wishing for. But does this Joker override it? Because the Joker is just the big luck card. So I would say you would be going to get it. I wouldn't count this as red and black, even though I know there's a red and black one. I would say you're going to get your wish, but there is some potential problems here coming up. So they said to keep that in mind as you're doing your cards. The next thing that they say to do is to find the life card and keep the life card of the person and discard the other life card, which I thought was interesting. So we don't use that as the significant other. It is just discarded from this. And then we are going to shuffle it. Oh, wait. Let's do this back. I'm not doing it right. If the lady, oh, no, we put the lady one out. So let's find the 5 of spades. So we don't shuffle in. So either of the significator cards are shuffled in. Oops, obviously I passed up the 5 of spades. There we go. So the lady card gets set in the middle. We're probably going to have to zoom out some more here. Oops, a little too far, but we want to be able to see everything. And we discard the other one. We're not going to be using that one. We're just going to have this as the center card. Now we're going to shuffle these cards. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. We're going to stop. Look very dramatic. On the brow of the storm cloud, the demons are riding. Foul rise the vapors from cauldron and pit. Mothers are crying, lovers are sighing. In fen and in bog every witch fire is lit. Spirit of goodness, watch over thy children. Lighten their pathway through darkness and pain. Webs are weaving, friends are deceiving. Heavy the chain that entwined them again. Okay, do we split? Let's see. The cards are again shuffled, and the fortune color turns up the top card from the pack. And now we refer to the spread that's over here, and we lay these in a cross, and it really does speak to these cards are laid in order of importance. So the first card has the most importance and descending importance from that, and we're doing the these are here, and then we're filling in the corners. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and it does say, much like we see with Lenormand and 9 cards, the cards that are around the significator have the most impact, and that is the case with this. These cards here are the most impact impact on the querent. Excuse me. But we do lay some other cards down, and we lay them around in a circle, kind of between the two like this, because this has half influence on each of the cards in front of it. So we lay these 2 cards out, these 2 cards out. Well, they have them like this. I don't know why I was doing that. There we go. These 2 cards out, these cards down here, and then these cards right here. Whoops, 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 here. And as I said, each one of these has influence on 2 cards that is in front of it. And it has about, half and half influence according to the directions on those cards. So like I said, it really goes into some interesting conversations. It has you place them. It does talk about the 8 cards exerting the greatest influence over this life card, but also that the number 1 card has the greatest influence, and to the second, to the third, to the fourth, and also there is a hierarchy of influence based on the numbering position as well. So we have these greater, the order is there, which really does put it to the cross being the strongest. These cards are flat up against it, so that makes sense. And then the corner cards, which only have the tip, having less influence on the card, so we don't give them as much weight. And then the outer row here are secondary, and they really speak to let me see how they phrased it. The outside cards represent secondary influences acting on the inner row. So it says, thus, if an unlucky secondary card be next to a lucky card in the inner row, it denotes that the good luck is tempered, or the opposite way. If there's lucky and lucky, then it's like increasing the lucky. So these cards on the outside have an influence on the cards that are next to it, but it's a half and half. It's like half influence here, half influence there. So it's not like you can completely overturn the other one that is there. So that's what we have, which I think is really interesting. If we look to the most impact cards here, we have clubs and spades here. So we have the very evil card here. It is being tempered by a red card, but that is just a person card. But there, this would tell me that there is an older, very white, older man who is having a negative impact on me in some way, right? If we go exactly how it is. But we have the 7 of clubs here, which was about toil and drudgery, a lot of work, having to do a lot of hard work. We have the evil card around me. We have making myself look like a fool. And we have a journey by land with somebody that is dear to me. There is a young male here that maybe I am going to take a journey with, so that I can avoid being a spinster for the rest of my life. Obviously, we did not ask any question of the reading, and what you get is gobbledygook. But I did want to show you that I did think, again, for quite a small piece of paper, I did enjoy, A, I just enjoyed the whole thing, and B, I did like the very precise nature of the inner cards having the impact, the influence of other cards. Now, the other cards can also have influence on each other, but these are like secondary influences, outside influences that are coming in and making a shift as well. And so that near and far, and some of them, the whether it's in the first row or the second row, has an impact on how you would interpret it. Let's see if we get, if any of these, like these 6, let's see if this gets changed. The 6 of clubs is bad luck. Now it looks like no matter what, treachery by someone that I trust, and then this might tell me who that is. Again, here we have an old white man who, very, very white, like he's sickly white, being the hearts, could be having that evil influence. I got to watch out for any really pale old men having an impact on me, right? But let's see if we can find any of the other ones. The 7 of clubs looks like that stays the same no matter what. That stays the same no matter what. Of course, I didn't get any that could be changed by whether they're in the inner or outer. Now, we can see that in this case, I have a good friend who might help stop me from looking ridiculous and more bring about this energy of happiness that we have here. So I'm going to really look for a good female friend to come keep me from looking like a fool. There. But anyways, I thought I would show this to you. Again, if I was going to be, and same thing with working with Sibylla or Lenormand or Kipper, you know, you have to take some of these things and bring them into usefulness, right? I probably wouldn't see complete and utter evilness in the devil cards. You know, what would that represent? The black cat, you know, obviously has a connotation of unlucky energy, and so needing to figure out how to reverse that energy is going to be important. And we have 2 people, now these aren't really seen as negative, that are influencing this. So both of these are influencing this. So that would be, again, thinking about who could help me get out of an unlucky situation if this was the case. And I would probably use more of my cartomancy way of looking at the court cards, because I don't find it as useful to just have 12 people of varying skin colors and or hair colors. I will watch out for any green-haired people, but other than that, I don't find that in that's an old cartomancy style. And again, it was associated with tarot as well, the tarot courts as well, being specific people of specific hair colors. And so I don't find that overly useful in modern reading, so I would attribute those differently to make this, you know, and to give this a fair shake as an actual reading. But I enjoyed this. It's a great little deck. It was cheap. I want to say it was like 12 bucks. I could be wrong. I'll put a link to it. And it's just a little piece of history just to see these. I think there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek here, but it also is pretty based on, well, let's just do a quick, let me put this, and let me find that 5 again, because these don't have, the significator cards don't have any kind of actual meaning, because you literally are going to take one and discard the other, and it's just going to sit in the middle. I'll be right back. I'm going to make some positive and negative piles and just see. Okay, I haven't spent a lot of time on this, but I like to just get a feel for these old cartomancy deck. Obviously, these are all people cards, and whether they are good or bad is going to be whether or not the spot cards or the pip cards next to them show whether they're positive or negative. So those are neutralized, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that can go either way depending on what's happening, and some of these also have things that could shift the energy, but if the overall energy of the card is positive or negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then we have the 2 powerful game changers with the Joker. I would probably be inclined to just put a single Joker in. And I will say that when it talks about it, it talks about it as if it is singular. So I am wondering if originally you would have just used a Joker, because it really talks about the lucky card. So you might pick one of those to put in, especially, but as you can see, a lot of times cartomancy decks have a reputation for fortune telling style decks have a reputation for being negatively skewed. That's not actually the case. These can swing either way. These are all neutral. There are actually more positive cards than there are negative cards, but you do get a nice handful of negative cards. Like if you think of today's oracles, where you really don't get negative cards to work with to tell when something is going on. Like that is to me strange. You know, whatever. That's the only one to me where you can like, what does that have to do with the meaning of the card? The other ones to me make more sense. And he actually looks pretty happy, but he's being a fool. He's making a fool of himself. So yeah, you can see that it's not something skewed strongly negative, but I think what some of the reputation is that in the modern oracle, we're used to decks that are predominantly positive, right? And so I think the fact that there are this many straight up negative cards can seem like it's skewed to the negative, but remember they can be lifted up by positive cards as well. And also remember that life is not all full of positive things, and so having decks that have more shadow aspects and cues that things are going wrong is something that's important, and is something that we are probably losing in this current phase of cards that are much more often skewed to just being positive cards, which again is fine if you're just looking for affirmation, but if you're really trying to figure out what's going on, that having no shadow or cards to point to when things are going difficult makes it really difficult to get a good eye on the situation and what's happening. So very interesting. I'm definitely going to play around with this. It makes me happy, but I did think I would do a quick kind of, again, I didn't sit there and work too hard at looking at them, but these are pretty much all positive, so it's pretty close to that. And these are, there may be some of these again that can influence whether they're near or far, but I went off of the core meaning of the card, so it's not skewed. It's just a little more balanced actually in positive and negative cards. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, and have a wonderful rest of your day.